And on another point of clarification, if you do not have quorum, you're welcome to still start the meeting. You just cannot action on any items. You cannot approve previous minutes. You cannot, any action of the committee would not, you could not take any action until you have quorum.
We do have, looks like we do have a quorum. So let me go ahead and just do that and call the meeting to order. It's 12:35 almost. And so I'll do a roll call so we can have that for the next minutes. Councilman Alberto Torres, not here. Councilman Gilbert Gonzalez?
Here.
David Garcia, myself present. Luz Infante?
Present.
Mario Perez? Mary Bender? Is she on her way or no? We don't know.
Welcome.
Angie Ancira?
Here.
Here. Sandra Solis?
Present.
And our newest member, Bianca Brewster?
Great.
Present. All right. Item on the agenda for today, are there any submitted public comments?
No.
All right, let me give everyone a chance to review last month's minutes.
Here we go.
Do we have any comments or any adjustments that have to be made on the minutes? No comments? Is there a motion by anyone to approve?
Motion to approve?
Any seconds?
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm very slow. Thank you.
Judge Singh?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It wasn't going to be the same without you.
Without the lawn now?
Okay. Is there, well, do you want a chance to review the minutes? Ms. Brenda?
Absolutely. Let me just get rid of this. Thank you.
All right. And I'll ask the question again, any comments or amendments or additions?
On D, which is section 5, letter D, where it states that Ms. Bluestone mentioned that LAX is still in taking strays without appointment, but it's based on priority, which are sick and injured animals. My question was regarding Samaritans. You know, I've done it that I see a dog or a cat that it's friendly, that you can see that if it's a friendly animal, probably is lost, and you know what's going to happen to those cases. And she responded that those cases that will be that the animal will be taken in.
So, if you would like clarification on that, strays are without appointments, but the calls are generated that the officers will respond to sick and injured before healthy strays.
Right, but if I'm walking and I find a dog and take it to you all as a good Samaritan,
Correct.
you will take it.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted for that to be added.
All right, any further discussion then? Councilman Gonzalez, are you re-urging your motion?
Yes, motion second.
Do we have a second? Any? Second by Ms. Bender. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Those opposed? Nay? Say nay, not opposed. All right, the motion carries, and the last month's minutes are approved. We'll move on to item number 3, which are public comments, and we have, I'm sorry, item number 5, new business. Subsection A, introduction of our newest committee members, and I know we have one, Ms. Brewster. If you,
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Welcome on board.
on behalf, I guess, as the chair, on behalf of the board, welcome. We're glad to have you and here with us, and hopefully your contribution will help our ongoing mission to help the animals of Laredo. You joined at a great time. Commenting to the councilman and other people who have asked that in the last 2 to 3 months, we've seen an incredible turnaround in just the attitude of what's happening here in Laredo with regards to our strays and abused animals. So welcome again.
Thank you. I just wanted, real quick, I'm the director for the Environmental Science Center at Laredo College. My background is my strong suit is wildlife, so that's what I was like, let me see if I could contribute anything to this.
Nice. Great.
You work at, you heard you mention the reptile.
Yes, sir.
Have they,
We're just a private citizen.
but have they brought them back, or I know they had a bunch that were redoing?
Not yet.
Not yet,
Not
okay.
yet, not yet.
I toured.
We should be done next year.
All right, well, welcome. All right, so moving on to subsection B, regarding the educational campaign, Living with Wildlife.
I actually put that on the agenda just so everybody is familiar. I know there's been, obviously wildlife, because we're building, Laredo's getting bigger, we're expanding, like, we're gonna have issues with wildlife. That's not a question, it's not an if, it is happening now. Again, I wanna reiterate that animal services is domestic animals and companion animals. Like, that is our knowledge base, that is what we know, and that is what we focus on. We do not focus on wildlife. But, so that we don't continue sending people from one spot to another spot to hey, call this agency, call this agency, call this agency. We're kind of all coming together. That's the Texas Fish and Game. We have the Laredo College here, who's very knowledgeable and we're kind of getting a bunch of people who that is their expertise, all at the table. We've even had the police department, so we know how to respond when there's things like the wildcats. But we're all kind of sitting down to make sure that what we're telling the public is how to coexist with wildlife in a humane way. What can we do to prevent that interaction? What can we do to mitigate issues that we have? Because again, this is not our expertise, but it is an educational push so that all citizens truly are informed on what they can do to really prevent, and that's everything from running into the issues of what if I see a mountain lion, to raccoons keep getting in my garbage, what do I do? Like the nuisance stuff. So, and we definitely, again, these guys are the experts, but we don't want to continue to just send, hey, you need to call these guys, you need to call these guys, you need to call these guys, because obviously that's really not great for the citizens of Laredo. So we're trying to push out the same messaging, all on the same page, to really educate on coexisting with wildlife. So I just want to make sure everybody is kind of aware of that, and now we have somebody who has wildlife expertise on the board, so I'm sure that will help as well.
Any knowledge or recommendations on javelinas in the yards?
That's an ongoing battle
I understand.
everywhere, and I think I've spoken a couple of times at the council meetings, and And with that, it's just, I mean, you just have to call,
Yep.
unfortunately, so maybe contracting someone that just dedicates its time, I mean, unfortunately,
And
that
is there any people that do that?
not that I know locally. I know I do have, I know a couple of people that do it as a hobby,
Okay.
but not necessarily that's their main business.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm pretty sure they're out there, and
Okay.
it would just be someone out of town.
And the idea will be just to relocate them. No, to keep them.
There's too many.
There's too
There's
many.
too many.
Wow, yeah, too many.
Well, and that's kind of like, do you coexist with them? Because you'll have people who are like, I can't stand it, it's a nuisance, they're tearing up my yard. And you have, it's kind of like a divide, just like everything else, where there's probably gonna be people, no, you can't do that, like, we invaded there. So
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
again, having everybody at the table is definitely the way to go to provide that
I
for the
know
citizens.
there is a feed, and I've researched, there is a feed that comes with a contraceptive.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
gonna say,
yeah.
yeah,
So that's as far as the non-kill way that
Yeah.
I
yeah.
figured out. But how much is it? Like, it's just a matter of,
Plus, you,
it's a money thing.
it's not just it is a money thing, yeah, but the amount that you have to feed
And
in
keep
order
on
to get
giving.
that result,
Oh.
like you have to, that's not just, oh, done,
Oh.
like it is
They
a
have to
long
get
term,
clear.
yeah. It's kind of like the TNVR, right? So you have to sterilize X amount of the population to see the population. It's the exact same thing. So yes, I think it's actually a great idea, but again, because it also prevents others from coming in as well, but it is not an overnight fix, just like everything else.
Mr. Perez, I know you're in a new development over there in Copper Creek. Do we see that problem? I know it's a growing new development towards Southeast Laredo.
Right now,
No?
my yard's intact, I think. Not
Until you
that,
get home.
not that I know of. My neighbors haven't complained. Anybody else in the community in our chat, nobody has complained for wild pig or
Really?
And this will be your first fall and winter there, correct?
Have they ever had any incidents at Tammy U? I mean, I see them out there
Yeah.
all the time, and, I mean, this was about 10 years ago, back before they had finished the North Park Trail, but I used to take my Weimaraner over there, and he got hooked by javelina.
Well, I will say, I have not heard of the human, like, and I mean, unless you're gonna really go up and try to give it a hug or something like that, but I haven't heard of like that,
No,
like here.
No, because look, they're very protective.
They are,
Especially if they're little ones.
Little
Yes,
ones,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what happened with my Weimaraner.
But they're more inclined to go after your pet than they can,
Yeah.
yeah.
And orientation says, do not run. That's what they tell the students at orientation, don't run,
Well,
Run, but try not to.
walk fast.
The other thing is, that I've seen is, I mean, just to deter them from, it's the automatic sprinkler system, so text motion, it turns on, and it shoots them away.
Really? Okay.
And they sell it on Amazon, it's like $50.
Have we ever tried to
56.
contact Texas A&M Kingsville, because they have a big wildlife department and they deal with pigs and javelinas?
So I don't think we
It
have.
wouldn't be a bad idea to contact them.
No, they didn't.
Just,
See what
I know they have a big research grant for that kind of stuff. And,
So this sprinklers, how does it operate?
And it works for
Motion
cats too.
Is it connected to the hose?
We have,
Really?
I think we might have a few spare ones that well, I mean, it was for our TNVR program, but we can, like, it's at the office, we could probably, if you're interested, yeah, just test it out, see
Sure.
if it
Yeah.
works.
I could hand it out to the residents there. It's interesting, the ones that I get more calls.
But their concern is for their safety or because they're messing up
They're
the
messing
grass?
with it. And there's ongoing construction, so.
That's moving, making them
Yeah.
move more.
But these are like most of elderly families that, you know, they're like in their 80s and they're, they know what to do.
We use them for the cats,
Okay.
especially when we have complaints.
Okay, I'll pick up some.
All right, any other discussion on subsection B? Moving on to subsection C, proposals for hosting adoption events.
The one thing I would like to say is I would like everybody's assistance in you know, adoption events are definitely working. We've had a few successful, but they're very much, I mean, sometimes we go out in the community, but if there is anything that anybody can suggest where to go, is there an event that might welcome an adoption? If anybody has an idea for adoption events, the only thing I just wanted to put that out there that, you know, please just email me or whatever, because we're always looking for broader reach for the animals for adoption. So that's it, because we're trying to move them out fairly quickly.
What have we joined with some of the other city events that they put in? And we were just talking about North Park, when they have that kite festival.
We're all about pretty much anything that we get asked to from like certain council members, well, not certain, all council members really. We're on it. We're there. We would love to be there. So again, if anybody hears of any events or whatever that is welcoming to animals, just let us know, and we can probably provide go out and with our adoption.
Kind of piggyback off the event.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of people and.
We always do that.
I guess my only concern would be the noise level.
Well, if
because
we
it
bring the
does-
adoption vehicle, it's minimized because the animals will be inside and it's climate
We
controlled.
brought in animals at the kite festival and.
At the kite festival, something like that. But
Yeah,
there's-
we try to stay away from the and if we do get a spot near the music, we just ask, can you play?
And what's the time span you guys are there, Mom?
Yeah, that was, I was gonna say the hours. Are you restricted to certain hours?
No?
No, I think we're having a adoption event. It hasn't been publicized or anything. I want to say in October, and it's actually like way outside of our business hours. We're trying to expand.
Great. Thank you.
We have an event in November that we'd love to have you.
Okay. Again, the more we can get exposure to the shelters and the dogs, the easier it will be to move them out quickly.
What event is that, Ms. Bender? You know,
The poker run.
oh, that's right. Okay.
We're gonna have a
Oh,
poker
that'd be
run in
great.
November. So I'd prefer to have the adoption pets there in the morning rather than in the evening. In
Yeah.
the evening, we're gonna have music.
Okay.
So in the morning, it's kinda,
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other discussion regarding the adoption events? Then we'll move on to subsection D,
Adoption events.
invitation to visit shelter for rounds.
I just want to reiterate from the last time that I am inviting anybody to witness and actively see what it is to do the daily rounds. It's also called pathway planning, and this goes into E. And it's a daily thing. Normally happens around 10ish. Has a certain staff members that are there, and it's really kind of how we identify and minimize any disease spreading. Kind of going through pathways, which way they're going. Is this more appropriate for rescue? Is it appropriate for adoption? Is it this? Is it that? And really get behind. And it happens every day. So I just want to invite you guys out. I would be happy to answer any questions, which is why I put this on E. But I want to make sure that we're full transparency in how the operation is generally flowing at the shelter on a daily basis. So I'm just inviting everybody out again.
I've been wanting to go out, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Can't get out there.
Does the veterinarian still have the same hours? You still
Yeah,
have?
I'm still going out there. I still communicate with, what's his name, Yamas, every day. And surgeries on Wednesdays, and then we're trying to do Thursdays as well, as we can.
Great.
But what I'm doing now is, once or twice a week when I'm out there, I'm going through the entire shelter, walking up and down to look at all dogs and cats while I'm there.
Thank you.
So if I have questions, he's there to ask, and then also communicate with Luce on certain cases.
And that's part of like the daily rounds. If it is something that is medical, let's just say it's a day where he's not there, it's immediately to the vet techs, and then they have protocol on contacting him, and then we go down as far as what happens then.
Yeah.
But it is really important every day that all animals are looked at every day.
Right.
So But yeah, he's super easy to get a hold of. And we will, if there is an issue that we did notice at 10 o'clock, boom, we're calling and he's there.
I've got a question that's kind of related to this, not exactly, but you're making rounds, obviously you've got better control of Parvo. What about Giardia and Coccidia? Can we get numbers on that when we do our report next month?
I don't know if I have like genuine numbers in terms of, cause it's right now while we do have some diarrhea, most of the diarrhea is, from the dewormer. So there hasn't been like a huge outbreak at all.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Only because it's coming from rescues.
okay.
Only because, and in all fairness, I've commented and I've asked, the dates, give me the dates that you've had these issues, because different protocols have been in place. Give it an opportunity to work.
And we've definitely seen a decrease with,
Yeah.
with that as we've changed cleaning, the way it's cleaned. I will say that any animal that has like broke with parvo, it has literally only been at the shelter for like 72 hours, so it didn't get it from the shelter. And with obviously the daily rounds and everything, and not just the daily rounds, that's not the only time, but also instructing the kennel staff how to really like, oh, this is what I see, like first thing in the morning, because they're the ones that see the animals first thing in the morning. We've been able to isolate and do what we have to do like immediately. So that a lot of that it's minimized actually.
Yeah.
And especially when you're coming from a shelter, I'm gonna speak because we also have that problem too. I mean, there are animals that are coming from outside and we have no control. And it's very hard to do fecal tests, you know, when we have 158, 200 animals.
And Coccidia is a lot easier to control than Giardia.
Exactly.
Giardia is hard to find.
Exactly, and you need a sample treatment just for Giardia and not
Oh, I know,
as well.
yeah, that's why I'm asking, I
Yeah.
mean,
And you can do fecal 3 or 4 times with the same patient and you won't catch it. It may take you 5 or 6 tries.
no, we do
Exactly.
the nose test. We can tell you. We can tell you,
Just by the smell.
just by the smell.
Okay.
Anyway.
I think we kind of covered D and E together.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to make sure that I remember to, hey, I invite everybody out again to kind of see how that goes.
all right, any other discussion on either D or E? Moving on to the assessment of the criteria for immediate fines for neglectful or abusive pet owners with evidence of animal abuse or neglect is present.
I have that question.
I figured, which is fine. Again, I'm not gonna say that it's black or white, all right? Because every situation is different. Is it a situation where it's intentional? Is it a situation where somebody knows? Is it something that does escalate up to the need for PD, a misdemeanor or a felony? Is it something that we can educate or at least give them anywhere from 2 hours to fix to 24 hours to fix? Like, it is not black and white, and it also depends on the receptiveness of the individual. With that said, I'm not going to, in any way, shape, or form, bring up any specific cases, like, period, in this, and we're gonna talk broad. But it is up to the discretion of the officers. Now, with that said, I do support the decisions of the officers. Does that mean that they are 100% correct all the time? No. Does that mean I'm 100% correct all the time? No. So you will see variance. When variance is brought up, and let's just say there's another or different way we could have done it, is it addressed? Yes.
But there are 2 versions on the,
Not, again, I don't wanna bring up a specific case.
even we got the videos.
I understand that, which is why I'm saying if it involves a specific case or a specific officer, I'm not going to bring that to light. What I will say is I'm supportive of the officer's decisions in the field. If it is something that needs improvement, if it is something that wasn't handled to the best of its ability, then yes, we have addressed it, or we will address it with that officer. And that's continual. But again, I don't know what was said between that officer and that owner. I don't know. I wasn't there. So I do rely a lot on the field officers to tell me and educate me on the situation as a whole. And that's not just with this, that's with all of the calls. And again, am I saying I agree 100%? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if there are improvements, we are making them.
Along those lines,
Mhm.
based on our discussions last time, at least kind of informal discussions, I did reach out to the district attorney's office.
Mhm.
Initially, they indicated they would have a warm body for me today. I wasn't able to speak directly with Mr. Alanis. His schedule was kind of off and kind of missed, but I did reach out to his number one, Marty Jackman. And I learned a lot about how they're set up, and actually they're not set up. One of my first questions that I asked is, do you have a division dedicated to animal cruelty cases? And basically, the answer is no, they don't, like they do for family violence, theft, white collar, that type of deal. So I think that's a first step. And I explained to her that, a lot of times, it may be helpful to have the person, because they do have a program, because I work the jail a lot. They do have, they say it's 24/7. It's pretty close to 24/7. They have someone there at the jail that can receive calls from PD or DPS or the sheriff's department asking them, is this a crime? Is this a crime? The hope is that we can have someone from the DA's office that can be reached out. And I think in my discussions, I think it was a little bit overwhelming, but I mean, it's a first step. So at least we know what we don't have now, which I know when I first started, we didn't seem like we do now. We have someone at PD we can reach out to and say, hey, and now they have somebody dedicated. So my hope is that we've taken the first step, and I'm going to follow through in identifying this deficiency, I think, in the district attorney's office, and to have someone dedicated to reviewing the laws of what constitutes animal cruelty, so that once they make a determination, they can feed that to law enforcement and say, look, this is what we're looking for. And if you see this, this warrants an arrest, and the complaint will be signed off on.
Well, and I will tell you, we've noticed even a response level improvement for us working together with PD in terms of, I think this past week we had 3 arrests.
I magistrated, I magistrated one of the that involved the death of a dog. So yes, I am seeing a small, but really in terms of what I hear and again, I magistrate 50% of everyone that gets arrested in Webb County is going to go through my office or Judge Letty Martinez, and I've talked to her about that as well. And all of the complaints will come through at some point through my office, so I get to see, of course, it's everything else too. And
it's not a lot, but you can definitely
see there has been an increase, which I'm happy to see that they're being prosecuted or attempting to prosecute.
And again, if it is up to the level, we're pushing it. We are absolutely pushing it. If it is something that can be mitigated through, again, resources or education, and that depends on the level of compliance of the owner, that is the route that we are going to go. And that's no different than social services and how, their best thing and what they want to do is keep that child in that home, right? And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I'm not telling you all times it's good. But for those departments, and that, this is what we see in terms of statistics as, again, it's long term. These are the changes. It's about changing a way of thinking. It's about changing a culture. We're not going to just do that because they'll just go get another one. What difference does it make? They'll go get another one. And that's the thing, and that's what we're preventing. Let's fix the situation so that this dog, who has been in this situation probably all of its life, has a better outcome in this situation versus, okay, we'll just fine, cite you, remove the dog. Guess what? We're going to put a new dog who's never been in that situation, and has, So it's about fixing the situation for the animal at hand. And again, there are levels. A deceased dog on a property, and I know which one he's referring to. Absolutely not. That was definitely, like, no, you're beyond education at that point. Like, we level up when we need to. So,
Well, hopefully, at least we've taken the first step, and hopefully they'll follow through with actually bringing someone, and that, at that point, after we talk to them, what they can consider, I guess, maybe dedicating at least one or two prosecutors to being mindful of, you know, the statutes that apply in these kind of cases, and that way, if there's questions out on the field, they have someone they can reach out to. And hopefully someone there on staff, the way they do it right now, for all the other offenses that come in at the jail. Okay.
And we can also have the DAs look at other counties to see how they're doing, and maybe we can all.
Well, and that's, you know, it's like, hey, I got a great idea for you, more work, how's that? And it's kind of a, I mean, and, you know, I mean, I work in the courts all the time, and I see, not only from the prosecutor side, but the public defenders, I mean, everyone's overworked, underpaid, like in every county, I mean, but, you know, I guess we just need to voice a little louder, so that we can get some, because I think, I mean, really, I mean, from a public aspect, I mean, I can't imagine anybody's gonna be outraged at the fact that maybe some funds or monies are dedicated to the prevention and prosecution of animal cruelty. I mean, again, the counter to that is, hey, you know, we've got family violence, and yes, I mean, that's always gonna be the counter argument. We're gonna put our resources in protecting humans instead of animals, but I think if we voice our concerns a little bit louder, I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes PDs call and they say, oh, we understand, we cannot go to that call.
I think if we get somebody else
That's so sad.
involved, you know, that has concerns and knows that we're serious about prosecuting, that's gonna help. And that it's not just an animal, you know, it's.
and it's not perfect right now, right? We're just really diving into opening lines of communication and really working with each other in a good trajectory. We're seeing small improvements. I know when I got here, one of the biggest things was, how can you let this call go on for so long, right? I don't hear that right now. What I hear is, it's either like you didn't handle the call correctly, but we are there. And if a lot of the times we handled it within the restrictions of the law or the ordinances, but we also have a decent plan and SOP in place for follow-ups. So back in the day when I first started, it was this has been here for months and months and months, and you haven't done anything. This narrative is changing. These aren't long-term situations. Like, the resolutions are happening in a shorter time frame. So again, it's stepping slowly in the right direction. And when it comes to the health and safety of animals out there, I'm the first one to say I wish it was automatic. I wish I could just snap the fingers and everything falls into place. I really do, because I'm right there with you. But again, the narrative of what I'm hearing is a little bit different. We are responding, we are going out there, and we are following up. It might not be in the way that you think or you want, but we're there. So, like, at least know that it is stepping slowly in a right direction.
Any further discussion on item?
So Judge, we will hear.
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm gonna
something
urge
for
them
next
to,
meeting.
for the next meeting and prepare, you know, kind of prepare them for, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of questions, from the members here. And I'm kind of curious to see how they're following up on these, because, I see the offenders in jail, But I have not seen an increase in the last part, which is when either it's going to trial or they're pleading out. And resolved, and I don't get to see that. That's all in the district attorney's and the defense attorney's hands, and I don't know, I mean, and I sit in all four courts, but I don't see 100% of the criminal docket. I mean, I can just speak for what I see. But I'm in criminal court at least 2 or 3 times a week. So I handle those pleas or final determinations for guilt. And I haven't seen an increase at that end. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you if someone generally would ask me, well, what's happening with these cases? I don't know. Because I haven't seen one. Now, that doesn't mean that one of the other 4 district judges hasn't been dealing with that.
I've been on the grand jury several times. We've never been asked about an animal cruelty case.
Yeah, and really, I think, it's been less than 5 in my 5.5 years where I've seen the active case in court. So there's not a lot. So that, I think, would be another thing to consider when we actually get to talk. And my hope is to bring Mr. Alanis. Like I said, he's got a kind of a weird schedule, so he's not always accessible. All right. Moving on to subsection G, addressing concerns about ACO dispatchers and on-the-ground officers not being aligned in picking up strays.
Again, this was, I believe, a very specific situation. It has already been addressed, and again, I will reiterate, you're picking up strays. You texted me last night about strays, picked up strays. Like, we are not picking up strays. Again, and I will also reiterate, it is priority, just like PD. If there's a higher priority call, whether it be abuse or sick or injured, hit by a car, they're going there first, but we're picking up strays.
It's ACOs, sometimes they say no, and we cannot hold the dog because we don't have a shelter.
And you did express that specific instance to me, and again, it was addressed. But in every, that's a one time, I'm sure it's happened before, but again, it is addressed, it is reiterated. However, every single time that you have talked to me, have we picked them up? Okay.
That way we can show the CO if he says, no, we don't take intakes. I can show your text.
They have been instructed, and in fact there is, I believe, even text message threads going back, I don't even know how long, from our field supervisor reiterating, nope, you're picking up strays. So to the officers. So.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to subsection H, review member concerns regarding the lack of hospitalization for injured and sick strays.
Is that Bernie?
Yes.
Is that okay? All right. Again, we do our best to. We normally wouldn't even treat that type of dog if there wasn't a rescue interest because of how sick that dog was, right? We are doing the absolute best. We are not a hospital. We are not a vet clinic. Like, we are doing with the resources that we have. We are doing the best we can to stabilize, hopefully get better. Obviously that one couldn't be transferred. It wasn't even appropriate to write a health certificate for it to transfer state lines. It was not healthy enough. So with the knowledge that there was a potential rescue, and yes, it was out of state or adoption, we tried. That was the best we could do. And it's not prime, but it's working within the parameters of what we have to try to get a live outcome for that animal. And that, to be honest with you, that's not something that we would normally even do unless it was tagged for a rescue or an adoption. That's not, go ahead.
Okay, I sent an email to Jessica that I had a rescue already for him. And we were, the same thing we did for Bobby, the one that had the tumors. I take him out on foster and we will take him to Mexico to get treated.
I understand
And
that.
she said no, because there's an adoption interest.
Well, there's an adoption interest, but again, we could not write a health certificate. We were not comfortable writing a health certificate because of how bad that dog, that dog was literally, it was on death's door. To be
I mean, we
honest
didn't
with you.
need a health certificate to cross it to Mexico.
But we didn't feel comfortable as an organization.
So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so to write a health certificate, which I write the health certificates, the animal has to be healthy enough to cross international borders. And you know, when I sign those, that is my license on it. So when it crosses and something's wrong, they're not gonna call you, they're gonna call me about that animal. Why are you going to Mexico for whatever disease it has?
No, they don't ask us when we
They
cross that.
may not ask you, but they will call whoever wrote the certificate, which is my name on it and my license. Yes.
Not in Mexico.
Well, have they ever called you?
We have crossed so many dogs, sick dogs,
Okay.
to Mexico.
Theoretically, you shouldn't without a proper international health certificate. And that is through Texas law to go through it.
When we come back, they're
Same
healthy.
thing, same thing. You should also have a certificate coming into the country. Because we're trying to protect the country here for all kinds of diseases.
Well, and here's the thing. As an individual, we are not going to control what you do, how you work the operations. But as a governmental organization, there are certain things that we cannot do. And that's why
needed
that's why
a
this is-
healthy certificate to bring the dog back. So
Oh, yes.
we were discussing, my last stray that I picked up had a horrific cut around its neck. It got loose. And I found him on the street and I couldn't leave him like that. But I mean, it was infected, he was bleeding, he was malnourished. 6 p.m, no vets. I had a friend that says, hey, I've got a vet. You know, they'll take him in, they'll fix him up, and they did. I got him back in about 3 days. Still, I still have Polly, I still have her.
Well, there's also different restrictions if it is a personal animal versus a foster or something that is going to be sold or adopted. There's different restrictions. And
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I don't get in trouble.
no, but they put even more restrictions
Yes.
in place
So there's
just
new-
recently.
There's new
Yes.
ones through the
Yeah.
CDC. But
I know.
it doesn't
We
cost
started on
anything.
August.
It doesn't cost you anything. You just gotta fill it out and make sure you follow all the rules.
Yeah, because that's an issue for a lot of people here in Laredo, like, after hours, in the evenings, your dog gets hurt. And, you know, you need to get them, because I know a couple of vets on the other side that I've used in the past.
Well, it is a little different with a personal dog that you have ownership versus a dog with the intention that is going to be adopted, sold.
Somewhere else,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm learning as I go. All right, any other discussion regarding
Well,
hospitalization?
oh no, sorry, I was gonna hit on that.
That's, yeah, we're still on subsection H.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on then to subsection I. Review of member concerns about rescues being pulled out without proper vetting.
Well, I didn't put it in, but, yeah,
Floor
Angie
is yours.
put it in, but I do have comments on that.
Floor is yours.
Someone coming out with a snap, the rabies. I had an issue last week. Remember that I told you?
Okay.
No,
So,
okay. This dog went on airplane Sunday
right.
without that certificate of the rabies, and they asked he could even lost his transport.
Okay, so first of all, I think that's an issue of documentation, not necessarily veterinary care. Proper veterinary care does not necessarily include snap tests. It does at the request of rescue agencies, but that is not conducive to saying it's not properly being taken. Yeah. So I just want to clarify that. I think this is a lot more, and I did explain, I'm down 2 vet techs. We are trying to get from the other divisions to come in and learn how, most of them know, because they still have to do things like the intake vaccines and stuff like that. So, like, individuals from the field, but I don't want to always take from the field, right? Because we have a bunch of strays out there. In these past probably 2 or 3 weeks, I'm literally down 2 vet techs. So I think that also has why the snap tests aren't being done necessarily in time, or like it is a struggle right now for the staff due to a staff semi shortage. And I also said this is more on the lines of an illness or a medical, so it's not something that I can just fill. These are not vacant positions. These are individuals who are out. So like it is a staff shortage, and we're trying to work around it. But we also do recognize the need to work on documentation as well. So that is
I
recognized.
took the Bella people without rabies, without microchip, so that's not proper rating. I mean, she was gonna go across to get spayed, and we needed a microchip and
So
a rabies.
here's what I'm gonna tell you. Moving forward, if there are rescues that do have issues, please have the rescues contact us, and we will definitely address it with the rescues first and foremost. That's what I ask. If there are issues, and rather than you guys getting the brunt of it, like, please reach out and then let us kind of say, okay, tell me exactly, is it the snap wasn't done in time? Is it that this was absent? Is it the documentation? Let me hear it from the rescues, please. That way it's first
Send in
hand.
the email.
Okay. And as far as, I'll let you go, I'm sorry. Address Jay, because that's part of it.
You're right, okay. Any further discussion regarding the?
Mary Brenda.
Well,
The timeframe between DAPs has been an issue, not, I mean, it's not with all the dogs, it's with some dogs.
Correct.
The tick and flea prevention gets administered once. Some dogs don't get it for the 4 months that they're there at the shelter, which causes an issue.
And again,
And now it's
What-
different, and
well, and I was just gonna say, we have put certain things in place. We are also really trying to rely more on the Pet Point system, which again, I mean, you have a new computer system, people are not excited about using it.
it's cumbersome.
It is, which is fine. It's still a struggle, like, not gonna lie, but at the end of the day, we're really relying on that. That way there's not as much human error, and they can generate reports as far as what, like, on this, so you can run a report. So every Saturday morning I come in, run a report, it's gonna tell me everything that I need to do for the follow-up. Like every animal ID number, where they're located, and you do that every day, and it gives you a list. We're trying to get used to doing that. But I will also say Vectra is,
It's not good.
well, the Sympatica came in today or yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so we're not going to use
Thank
that.
I
Yeah.
drive a UPS in my spare time.
Yeah, it took a little bit to get the order because we had to do a mass order of vaccines, and it was above a certain amount, so it did take a little bit to get it, but we got it. So
Because
you
I
will
took a
notice a
dog,
difference.
The healer, since November, she didn't get anything for tick and flea.
You
We had to provide it for.
since November, and when was this? When did you take this dog?
Last week, I guess, was Monday,
Was it in Foster?
the red healer.
Was
No,
it-
it was at the shelter.
That's a shelter. Since November? Okay.
That's the one I was there because they had the month, the date, but not the year.
And again, I really think this boils down to documentation, because I was there when the outbreak like really hit, and every single animal was treated. Like every single animal was treated. So I think it's a lot more of a documentation issue, to be honest with you. We're working on slowly but surely. We're working on it. Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? I guess we kind of already jumped into the last item, but any further discussion on any of the items? Looks like we've covered the agenda, so. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I just want to say I appreciate everything and everyone, that's been doing in their comments and coming together. Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second? And a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone else will be ordered.